Hello, and welcome to episode 117 of the Pos-cast with Rabbi Shmuel Posner. And obviously, this is a little bit of a different opening. So, if you are not on the Chabad Boston mailing list, and you haven't heard through word of mouth, unfortunately, Rabbi Posner's father was nifter early Tuesday morning. The funeral will be on Wednesday, so when you're hearing this, the funeral will either be happening or have happened. This is being recorded Tuesday night, so Rabbi Posner unavailable. We're not going to have our normal postcast this week. The family has requested that you do an extra mitzvah or have some learning and in memory of Rabbi Yehuda Leib Ben Shalom, and the Shiva will take place in Crown Heights at, I assume, Rabbi Posner's brother's place, but I don't have the exact details on times or locations for those. I'm sure that that is something that will get sent out. So there have been some clips that have circulated around in articles about the passing of the rabbi's father. So without further ado, we'll get into those, and that will be the episode for this week. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week.
They would eat something, and then after a few minutes, so the Ramash would come in. He would come in dressed in his tallis, but not with the tallis over his head, just on his shoulders, wearing a yarmulke, and he would sit at the head of the table. Then he would ask that we should sing a nigun. The Rebbe then would speak about different subjects as it would come up. Sometimes he would speak about take a subject which was apropos, let's say, to a person who was there. For example, one time there was a man by the name of Sam Reshevsky. Sam Reshevsky was a world chess champion. And he lived in Crown Heights, and he used to daven in the 770. So since he was there, so the Rebbe said, as he used to emphasize very, very many times, as from everything we can learn a way how we can serve Hashem. And from chess, we can also learn how we can serve Hashem. And he started out with a story that one time his Shver, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and Monya's son, who was a chassid in Rostov, were playing chess. And the Rebbe Rashab walked by, and he saw they were playing chess. So he stood there and watched. He didn't say anything because you don't interrupt the game. And afterwards, when they finished, he said, Yena and Yena gang is a derech navedes Hashem. That was a certain specific, that play is a derech navedes Hashem, is a way to serve Hashem. That's the story which he told. And then the Rebbe went on, the Ramash went on to say here's what he wanted to bring out, this, his own thoughts about what we could learn from playing chess. And basically what he said was that in a chess game, we have two kinds of players. We have officers, and then we have the plain soldiers. The basic difference from an officer to a plain soldier is that the officer can go in different directions and can jump boxes. They do it in different ways, but they can jump and so on. But the plain soldier, he can only go one box after another, one step at a time. But the pawn, this plain soldier, the pawn has a certain characteristic which makes him superior in this way to even an officer. And what is that? That the officers always remain in the same form that they were. However, the pawn, if he reaches the other side, he becomes elevated he can become elevated even to become a queen. What's the derech and avodas Hashem? What can we learn here? How we can worship Hashem? We have malachim, we have angels, and we have neshamos Yisrael, and we have Jewish souls. Malachim, they can jump from one world to another world, up and back and here and there and up and down. But they always remain in their same position. They always really say, they don't change. However, Neshamas Yisrael, they can only go one step after another, one step. But if they fulfill their mission, they become elevated. They can become even a Malka, a Melech not, because only one Melech, Malchi HaMelachim HaKodesh Baruch Hu. A king he cannot become, but he can become elevated even to become a queen.
In 1941, Yehuda Leib Posner, age 13, and his brother Zalman, age 14, were students at the yeshiva in 770.
We used to go home only once a year. We'd go home for Pesach and stay for a week or so afterwards. Then we'd come back, and we didn't come home until the next Pesach. So we, of course, we wanted to the Rebbe for Yechidus before. We went upstairs. I went to the Rebbe's room, and my brother Zalman, who was the older brother, he knocked on the door and opened it up. The Rebbe was sitting over there at his desk, and he looked up and he saw us. And when he saw us, he started to smile. As soon as he gave that smile, so we warmed up inside. And we came to him, came up close to the desk. And the first thing the Rebbe asked us was, is it warm auf dem bus? Is it warm on the bus? And we were surprised to have such a question. So we thought maybe we didn't understand, because the Rebbe did not speak clearly and was difficult to understand him. And we, of course, were not used to it. So we just didn't answer. So he again repeated himself. Is warm auf dem bus? So we said, yes. Yeah. So then he said, was is wegen davening? Because he knew that was a 24-hour trip. Said, we davening auf dem bus. We'll daven on the bus. Then he said, und vielen Eichet? We said, yes. Oh, it was is good. Then he gave us a bracha. Basically what he said was, as jede Zach is leiten Zman and leiten Mokim. Everything depends on the time and the place. Leite Ort, da, leite Zeit jetzt, seien wir ganz zufrieden von euch. According to the time and the place where we are located here, we're quite satisfied with you. Aber ihr sollt wissen, you should know, wenn ein Tate hat gelernt in Lubavitch, ist gewesen gut anders. When your father learned in Lubavitch, it was altogether different. Ihr sollt nicht gespoilt werden von den Kindern in the street. Do not become affected by the children in the street. Later on, when we told us over for Rabbi Shmuel, so we said the Kinder from the street, so he says the Kinder from the gas. So we said no. The Rebbe said the Kinder from the street. That's what the expression that he used. And he's told us, bei mir seid ihr Kinder. Ihr seid meine Kinder. You are my children. Bei die Eltern seid ihr fleischliche Kinder. Bei mir seid ihr ruchnische Kinder. By your parents, you are physical children. And by me, you are spiritual children. Kinder fort Gesundheit.
Rabbi Yehuda Leib Posner studied at 770 during the 1940s. In March 1948, he was sent out by Merkaz Le'inyanei Chinuch to travel through small American towns, disseminating Jewish outreach material.
We're supposed to go through New Jersey and Maryland and Philadelphia. Then I came back for Purim, and after I went out again, and I went through Pennsylvania. I took what we call the milk train. You know what the milk train is? Milk train is that they have all these different farms along the way. So at about 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, so there would be a local train going out and make every single stop. And each place they would take on the milk, which was milk from the animals. It's called the milk train. In other words, it was a local train. So what I did was I took the milk train. I didn't actually go by train necessarily, I went by bus, whatever it was. But I went to many, many, many of these little towns. How did this all start? I was in the base of Medrash. Rav Chodakov came in and said, I'm a schicken auf a spazier. Came into the office, and they told me what they want me to go out, and of course the Ramash was there to go out on this. So before I went out, I was like to have Yechidus with Friedrich Rebbe. I guess it was Tess. I think it was Tess. And incidentally, that summer is when he started to going out, the pairs of shluchim would go out. Anyway, I went into the Rebbe, and I had a Yechidus that's can live my ganze Leben with them. Your whole life you can live with it. Came in, and the Rebbe said, Bei jenem darf es sein der Meilis und nicht wahr sein der Gesäunis. By another person, you should see, you have to see the good points, but don't overlook his faults. Bachsidim Zokmen, Bachsidim they say, in the Torah are eine verschiedene Oisies. In the Torah we have different types of letters. Asvin Ravrevin, Asvin Zeirin. Big letters and small letters. Jenem Smiles darf sein, the große Oisies, and the Chesreines, the kleine Oisies. The other person's good points, his attributes, you should see with large letters, and his faults with small letters.
In 1950, Rabbi Leib Posner was about to become engaged when he was sent to do outreach in California by the Rebbe, who was yet to officially accept leadership of Chabad after the passing of Rabbi Yosef Yitzhak Schneerson, his predecessor.
The Rebbe contacted me. I was in Pittsburgh, and I had already met my wife, and if I would go to California, it's not like today you fly up and back like nothing. You go, you're gone for months and maybe years. So I told the Rebbe, I met her, if it's okay to come back first he said, yeah. So I came back to New York first and spent, and I met her, and met her family, went to Vineland to meet with her family. And then I came back to New York. I was there for Shabbos, came back on Sunday. And on Sunday night, we were out on the east side, and we decided to make a shidduch, So I called up the Rebbe. Like I told you, in those days, we made a direct call. So this under the Williamsburg Bridge in Manhattan. I called up. We didn't have any cell phones in those days, And told him that so he gave us a bracha. He was masking, he knew about it before. And the next night, Monday night, we went in for Yechidus. So he told us as follows. What is the simcha by a chasana? Why is the simcha by a chasana so great? Alpi Pashas, what's the reason for getting married? Is kiyam hamin, because people die to keep the species to stay alive. So what's the simcha? On the contrary, to remind us of something else. Said like this. There is a Zohar. The Zohar says that the neshama of the zocher and the kever is really one neshama, l'mayla. But when the neshama comes down lamata, comes down below, it divides. One chela goes into the zocher, and one goes into the nekeva. This is the simcha of the chasaneh, because both parts of the neshama have become reunited. Okay?